All right, so going on, as we said before, so we are introducing ourselves in this first episode. So now Coach Sam will take his turn.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. So for a start, let's pretend that we don't know each other, and then we want to introduce you to the audience and to me as well. So let's do like this. So quickly introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Sam. I was born in Chiang Mai, Thailand, but I'm of dual nationality, so I moved to England when I was 3, and I grew up in England for almost all my life, and then I came back to Thailand to play professionally before transitioning into being a football coach. I don't know what else to say. I've got twin brother, also a great football player. That's a little bit about me.
So going on, tell us more about your football journey. So where did it start, how it ended up, and then the story.
When I was really, really young, like a lot of the kids in England they loved football. Like that's the number one. It's probably the same in Brazil. Like everyone loves football. Like straight from the get-go, as soon as you start walking, you've got a football at your feet. It was a little bit different for me because like coming from Thailand to England, I always liked doing like martial arts as a young kid. So I became a black belt at Taekwondo, and then in early stages of primary school, then I just noticed that most of my friends are playing football. I want to play football, so that's that. And then it wasn't until secondary school, year 7, in England. So that's like 11 years old, I think it is. 11 years old. That's when I started to think, there's a pathway in football, and then playing at various academies in England and stuff. At 16, I got offered what's known like a scholarship. So then that means like you paid. You're playing in the under 18s from 16 to 18. You do your education there. We're sometimes training with the first team. Not often, but I know the first team coach would come watch us sometimes at games and stuff. After that was at a League One football club in England called Bury FC. They'd gone into administration now due to financial difficulties. At the same time, Bolton Wanderers were. And after that, I played a little bit of non-league. So what in non-league is basically steps 5, 6, 7 in England, and I played into step 6 and 7 in England, which is still a great standard. Like the clubs there are getting 2, 3, 4, 5,000 fans still at that level. It's still a really difficult standard to play at, and it was at that moment, at around 19 years old, I got contact from an agent that said, "Hey, do you want to play football in Thailand? I can take you to Thailand, but you've got to be there next week." And for me, I never wanted to. Like I always wanted to be like, let's go to play League One or play League Two, or if not, I'll go play in non-league for a bit. I always wanted to play in England or in Europe. I knew nothing about Thailand, and I didn't know how big the club in Thailand was at the beginning, but I got taken to trial at Port, which was unsuccessful at the time. The coach Gary Stevens, who played at Tottenham, and the other head coach Matt Holland, they left the club quite quickly as I was there, and that meant I spent a little bit more time in Thailand before heading back to England to play non-league again, which is when I was then invited to another Thai league club, Ratchaburi, where I met a lot of my friends, a lot still playing now, and maybe guests that we'll get in next week.
And when was that?
That's a good question. I want to say, we're talking about year, right? I want to say 2015. 2015. And then after that, it was like bouncing from trial to club, like, Hua Hin, Ranong, Lampang, places in Isan like Mahasarakham, like crazy place. I toured the whole of Thailand, trialing and playing at different clubs, and it was just, and then after that I came to a transition of like, okay, maybe is this for me or is it not? And what was the big catalyst in that was that I found out I was going to be a father. So, and that's not, playing in the lower leagues of Thailand, it was like, okay, maybe some stability for my son would be a bit better than from bouncing from city to town to trial on very little money. So then that's when I got the jobs at international school in Buriram and yeah.
Okay, so you are Thai, you were born here?
Yeah.
Yes, but you grew up in UK?
Yeah.
Right, so let's say your fundamentals of football, your knowledge of football is from UK?
Oh yeah.
Am I right?
100%.
And how different it was when you arrived here in Thailand to play football?
It was a complete shock. There was so many different factors that made it difficult for me. First being the weather. Like the first training session feeling like I was going to be sick just from how hot and humid it was, and the amount that the Thai players could run in this heat still, it was just insane. I was used to playing in the snow, in the rain. The other one is like in England we play very direct, so a lot of longer balls and then you press high and we tackle hard and we tackle quickly. In England it's a lot more like, I want to say like they try and emulate like a La Liga style. They like try to play tiki-taka. They don't really go in for tackles and stuff. So it was difficult like playing matches even. The referees are always blowing for a foul, even though in England that might not be given as a foul. So like for me it's very stop-start, and it took a long time for me to then adapt to Thai football.
Oh.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yes. So let's talk about your work right now.
Yeah.
So there was a bit like what you do now, what your in a daily basis, what you do.
Yeah. So I currently work at 2 places. The first being Bangkok Patana School, which is an international school. They have a huge football program, and the facilities like, similar to those of a championship football club in England or even Premier League, some like open pitches. So my day then at Patana, I typically start there around 1:30, 2 p.m. to go in. We have meetings and maybe plan a little bit of sessions, and then I'll typically coach the young ones, so like primary school, so under 9s and under 11s at the moment. So I'll take them teams and I'll coach them. And then alongside Bangkok Patana, I have my own coaching business and coaching academy, which I kind of wanted to separate a little bit from the academy title and call it a football centre, because I wanted to drive it in the sense of like, we're not just an academy, we want to cater to all things sort of football.
Like a unique concept of a different concept than an academy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we wanted to do 1,000,001 things like tournaments and, private trainings and high performance centres and trips to the UK and, other places in the world stuff. So we want to do a lot of that stuff, and I'm one of the shareholders in Euro Football Centre at the moment. My day-to-day basis is actually a lot of organisation and then giving coach education to our coaches currently. The amount of sessions that I'm doing has reduced for the time being, but then hopefully again in the future it increase as the business increases as well.
And what's your idea of football? So what you see as a not perfect idea, because there is no perfection in football. Is everything changes all the time. But what would be your idea of football? Like Coach Sam, what would be your ideal team? How they would play? How would training?
Yeah. It's
a hard one.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, it goes back to what we were saying about like my English style. Like, I like to play on a counter-attacking football that's very direct. I like to play with wing backs, and I like sort of aggressive football. Like, yes. For me, there's a difference between like being silly in challenges and tackles, yes, and being aggressive. So I always like instill this into my children, like, okay, we defend first and we counter-attack second, we play direct. And I don't like too much when my striker gets involved in too much build-up play. I always put an emphasis on what's your job? Your job's to score goals. So for me, is like, you don't have to go and play 40-yard passes from midfield. Like, I want you to be on the receiving end of that. Like, get as many shots off as possible. Don't, like, there's an element of like defending from the top, but don't come into our half and start defending and doing other people's jobs. Score goals. So like, I want to put an emphasis on whatever your position is, you do that as that's your job. You know.
That's very interesting because two things. Like, normally, when we are asked this question, we tend to say, "Oh yes, my team will play with the ball. Beautiful. The other team will not even touch the ball." So it's very different answer. It's nice one, interesting one. And the second point is that how the way we grew up playing football, how it interferes. In our idea of football.
100%. Yeah.
So it puts a lot of pressure on us as a coach. Because we are shaping the kids as well. Yeah. So far, what are your main challenges as a football coach?
As a football coach,
what would you say?
Great question. I think transitioning, like in the beginning, transitioning from a player to a coach, it's almost as like you've got to flick a switch in persona. Like, being a player, you can have that attitude of being a little bit, not, I wouldn't say relaxed, but it's not as like, I don't know how to say, maybe results driven as maybe as a coach. And being a coach, you've kind of got to be like, you've got to flick a switch and be that authority figure then, and then a lot of organisation in around that, which I didn't realise at the beginning. I think you touched on some great points then, is like, I have a lot of, when parents interfere like too much. I like it when parents want to be involved and like, they want to get really involved and they're really invested, but then there's a line where it's like, okay, maybe are they overstepping the mark, and how do you have that conversation with them? And because I work at an international school as well, like, I think work ethic, and especially with it was being in Thailand, it's how hot it is. It's like, how can I make sure that my players are working as hard as they possibly can throughout the duration, and they're not giving 50% in the training sessions and then just want to play the matches. So I think they're my main issues, is just like, how can I create as much engagement in my sessions as possible and making sure that the intensity is there for the players.
Okay, right. You mentioned about this change in our minds of being a player to coach, to being a coach. Yes. I think is one thing that nobody really talks about.
Yeah.
But we only notice this when we realize that this makes a huge difference. Yes. These days I was mentioning to my kids, like, if this change of being a former player and being a coach, like, doesn't mean that you are coach, that you are maybe better than everybody else as a player. So I try to mention to my kids, like, I also have mistakes. Like, I want to show most of the trains I demonstrate how to do, and sometimes I have mistakes, you know. So it's a way to show them that nobody's perfect. Like, just because you're a coach doesn't mean that you can do everything. Otherwise, only would be coaches Maradona, Pelé, Ronaldo, Messi. Agreed. You know. So how can you talk more about this? Like, how this can affect your coaching if you are coach without realize that you are not in the pitch, you are not a former player, you are coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point, you know, like, and I'd like to reference maybe Jose Mourinho, who didn't go on and win everything as a football player, but as a coach, he's won almost everything, you know, especially at the top clubs, and it just goes to show, like, I think there's certain qualities that you can have as a coach that gain success. Are you a people person? Are you organised? Do you can you recognise when to put your arm around a player, or when to, like, you know, kick them up the bum a little bit and give them a wake up call, and then recognise certain things in the team that will gain the team success. Whereas, you know, as a player, you're looking for your own success in your own career.
Yes.
You want to develop what you do and how you play in a match. Whereas, like a coach, you're looking at 20, 15 players constantly, and how then can we play in a style that complements our players, you know, if that makes sense. So I think they're very, very different roles and certain qualities. No, not every football player will be able to, like, has them qualities. I mean, they can be developed 100%, but not everyone has that certain qualities that then transition straight away into being a coach.
Yes, absolutely. Talking about coaching, I would like to know, like, more about how you plan your sessions. Like, is there a thing that you wake up and then think like, oh, I want to do this, or is something like more planned, like, okay, today doesn't matter what, I'll do this, you know, or is more flexible, like you know?
I think in the beginning, as I started as a coach, like, I would plan way ahead of schedule and make sure I'm organized in that sense, just like, so I know. And now, like, with 5 years of experience, 5-6 years of experience, then it's like I can be a little bit more relaxed, but I always have that methodology and, like, that sort of structure that I want to go down. And I'll give you an example. Like, for me, I coach a lot of the young kids, the really, really young ones now. For me, I don't need them to make all these amazing passes and play as a team right now. I mean, there's an element to that, you know, you want to introduce that slowly, but can we get the right, instill, like, movement-based games into them, you know, changing directions, changing speeds, developing their coordination. Then on top of that, the ball mastery stuff, like, and I think Brazil are actually, like, brilliant at this, the ball mastery. How many touches on the ball can you get in that training session? So especially with the young ones, I want everyone to have a ball. Touch the ball as many times as you can. Touch it 100 times more than your friend, and you'll improve 100 times more than your friend. Across a year, that will make such a huge difference. And then, so I always have that premise in mind. So, like, when I go and coach them, I always try and plan, you know, ball mastery stuff for the young ones. And then as they get older, then can we have an introduction on how do we play 2v2s then? And then 3v2s and create overloads. Then a little bit older, then can we introduce tactical sort of awareness, that introduce a little bit of analytical work and stuff.
All right. So let's talk more about the social medias.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So we create content for YouTube, for Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
So what's our main objective of doing all of this? Because we know it consumes a lot of time.
It does.
But what's your main objectives on doing that?
Yeah, I want to create as much free value for people as possible. And I think, like, that's just the way the world's going at the moment. Is like, I think people do want to be educated. You have so much access to, like, free resources out there in the world now. And especially, like, young players, not even just young players and amateur players, but, like, coaches as well. Like, I want to give as much free value out there as possible. And not only does that, like, challenge me as a coach to then be able to, like, come up with new ideas of, like, teaching people, but then, like, you guys get entertainment out of it, then the people that are watching then get to learn from it. So I just want to be able to create a positive impact in this industry as much as possible and make it as accessible to as many people as possible as well. And then in turn, you know, I think that will come back to me in my career, like as I develop, maybe one day I'll get a job at a professional club in the academy. Then maybe one day I'll get a job at the national team or first team level, or then maybe technical directors, all these different sort of jobs in football. Then I want to share that experience to as many people in the world as possible and give them that free value.
Yes. And talking about the future, like, do you aim to, as you just mentioned, like, go to the coaching side? I mean, like, going for the first team, like maybe being a coach or head coach, or going to the more the organizational part, like being a director, or what? How do you see yourself in the future?
Yeah. Do you know what? I never say never to any of those jobs. I think me as a person, I love learning. So like, if there's something that I can do that will challenge me, and if it comes at the right moment in my time, then I'll take it on. Whether that's either of them jobs or an analyst or goalkeeper coach, could be any of them. Like for now, I like doing what I'm doing, like being a coach and then educating the coaches. That's what I like doing. But maybe in 5 years' time, if then someone says to me like, hey, you want to be a first team coach? And my son's a little bit older and I have more stability behind me and my business is growing, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'd say probably yes to both of them things, but providing it's the right time for me. Yeah.
Correct. All right, so anything that you want to share with our audience to wrap it up?
No, I just want to say thank you for watching. I mean, it's really interesting because I'm a lot newer to YouTube than you are, so I was really nervous to like get going and put my face behind the camera and stuff. But then, in a sense, like I appreciate like all those that do come and watch us and that show the support, that show the love, like, and how fast the channel's growing. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys, and make sure you subscribe as well.
Yes. And this, yes, seems like a silly thing to say, but it does really makes us happy, you know, like when you guys comment something like, oh, thank you for this comment, you know, like sometimes you guys message us on our Instagram, or, you know, comment on the YouTube videos, like long format videos. So it really makes us like happy and more like encouraged to keep going.
Yes.
So I think this idea of reaching people everywhere in the world is great. You know, like
I got a message yesterday actually from a player just turned coach in Toronto yesterday, and he said, you know, I've been watching your YouTube and you're inspiring me, and I want to do exactly the same as you. And it's the first time that's ever happened to me, and I couldn't believe the feeling that made my whole day, that made my whole week. And I was like, wow, this is worth it. So make sure you comment as well, like guys. Like, we really do appreciate it.
Yes. So that's it for today. Our first episode, our pilot episode. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys liked. So if you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's a new channel that we are creating together. Coach Yuri, Coach Sam. We are here in Bangkok, but you can listen to us, you know, in your car, you know, on the way to work, you know, at home, you know, you can listen to us everywhere in the world. So anywhere in the world, better saying. So make sure you subscribe, like the video to make this video reach more people that are just like you, like wanting to listen to Football Talks, as is the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
All right, a huge thank you. And every week we will try to post new episodes. So can we say the first guest? Can you tell them already?
Yeah, sure. So the first guest next week will be one of my close friends, Kevin D. Romram, half Thai, half Swedish, plays for Port SC. He's played in the top division in Sweden and currently part of the Thai national team, playing in the World Cup qualifiers. I've spoken to him already, and he's excited to get on, and share his experiences playing in professional and national team football with you guys.
Great. So it's just the beginning. All right. So a lot of content for you. All right. So we will see you next week again. See you.
Thank you.